wants to feed their baby healthy food, make sure the babies are going to come out as healthy as possible.
Absolutely.
Obviously, in the world of health and well-being, fertility is a huge issue.
Yeah.
So where do you start being a fertility expert, and is it a lot to do with health and nutrition and diet?
I was trained initially as a naturopath, and then I also included to my qualifications a master's in reproductive medicine and in human genetics to make sure that I really
Can we repeat that? A master's
in reproductive medicine and human genetics.
That's a nice title.
To
so
helping
basically
couples.
you help people make babies.
Absolutely. Healthiest possible babies. If I look at the holistic picture of a couple who's trying to conceive.
Where would you start with a lady or a couple that basically, number one, either want to conceive or they've been trying to conceive and can't? Like, what advice would you give them to start off with?
So the best advice that I can give anyone in that situation is to act pregnant now to get pregnant later. You know, it really...
Act pregnant now. So does that mean you've got to start wearing bigger clothes or like, what is it?
Great question. But you know how sometimes when people get pregnant,
Yeah.
they say, oh, you know, when I'm pregnant, I'm going to be so healthy, I'm going to eat all the right things, I'm going to take the right nutrients, I'm going to exercise, all of those things. Essentially, when people are trying to conceive, really they need to start looking and doing those things well before a conception is even in place. 8 weeks gestation, which is about 8 weeks in pregnancy, a baby's health blueprint is set for the rest of their life. So
that's huge.
Absolutely. All their health predispositions, the things that are going to, you know, their predispositions, as well as, of course, their potential.
So how long before someone wants to conceive, ideally, would you start being healthy and acting like you're pregnant?
Great question. You want to make sure that you do that for at least 120 days.
120 days?
120 days. Start now.
The couple have conceived. What about, you know, eating through your pregnancy to ensure that Bubs is as healthy as can be? Do you have tips on that?
Sure. And I think a lot of women, you know, we all know what to do. A lot of times we kind of think, oh, you know, what should I eat? We know, we really do know.
I think though at the moment, you know, people, you know, you get busy. There's so many different options out there. So if, you know, to have some simple tips to make it easy.
For sure.
And you know, you are thinking of, you know, doing so many other things, especially if you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So what can you recommend are those must-haves to ladies when they're pregnant?
The most important thing that you need to look at is your good fats and your good protein.
Okay.
And also to balancing your meals on vegetables and protein. Really making sure that you've got that balance is going to be key, because every single cell in the body is fat and is made out of fat and protein.
Okay. So what are your tips for ladies that do get those sugar cravings where you're just like, you know what, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I've got to go to the wherever now and just get chocolate or sweets or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Is there something you can do to help with that?
Definitely. Look, just eating regularly throughout the day is already going to help a lot. You know,
and how regularly?
At least every 2 to 3 hours.
Every 2 hours we get to eat.
A little bit.
That's great. Okay, you can eat every 2 hours and your hormones are going to be fine and you're not going to need the sugar fix.
Yeah, absolutely. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so number
really.
one tip.
So that's number
Next one.
So eating every 3 hours is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Then, of course, if we're talking about hormonal balance, we need to make sure that we are eliminating properly. So liver
that always
function,
helps.
Yeah, liver function and making sure that your bowels are moving frequently is going to really help.
Okay,
So you might want to add things like chia seeds to your porridge or to your smoothie, or to, you know, essentially what you're doing in regards to your food day to day.
Excellent.
Because that's going to add extra fiber and it's going to help you eliminate better.
Okay.
So that's tip number 2.
Yep, number 3.
And then, of course, number 3 is the amount of water that you drink in a day.
I knew you were going to say that. It's
else.
always water, isn't it? It always comes back to hydration.
Making sure, and also making sure that your water is filtered.
I was going to say the quality of the water
is vital
for health and wellness.
Because you see, a lot of the things that people don't realise, or a lot of the times people don't realise that in tap water, it's not the bugs that you're worried about. Your body can deal with those things quite easily. It's the chemicals, the byproducts of industry, the hormones that come into your unfiltered water